Christmas Day, 1929. A small tobacco farm near Germanton, North Carolina. By nightfall, a mother, 6 children, and the man who owned the farm were dead. Only one son was still alive, and he had been sent away that morning. The Lawson family had lived in this rural part of Stokes County for years. Charlie Lawson worked tobacco on a modest farm along Brook Cove Road. His wife, Fanny, kept the household running and cared for their children, Arthur, Marie, Carrie, Maybelle, James, Raymond, and baby Mary Lou. They were not wealthy, but they were established enough that 2 years before the killings, Charlie had bought the land he farmed. In the days leading up to Christmas, Charlie did something unusual. He took the entire family into town, bought them new clothes, and paid for a formal studio portrait. For a working farmer in 1929, it was a significant expense. The photograph shows the family arranged in 2 rows, serious and still, unaware of what was coming. Lawson Family Murders, Germanton, North Carolina, 1929. On the morning of December 25th, the Lawsons spent Christmas at home. There were gifts, food, and the ordinary rhythm of a winter holiday on a North Carolina farm. At some point late in the morning, or around midday, Charlie sent his oldest son, 19-year-old Arthur, into town on an errand. Some accounts say he was told to buy ammunition. Others simply describe a trip away from the farm. Either way, Arthur left, and he did not return before the killings. What happened next has been reconstructed from surviving evidence and witness accounts. Sources differ on the exact order of the first shots, but they agree on the locations and the victims. At some point in the early afternoon, Charlie armed himself with a shotgun and began to kill members of his own family. 2 of his daughters, 12-year-old Carrie and 7-year-old Maybelle, were attacked near the family's tobacco barn. They were shot and then bludgeoned to ensure they were dead. Their bodies later found close together outside. Back at the house, Fanny was shot near or on the front porch. The sound of the gun carried inside, where 17-year-old Marie and the younger children were spending Christmas Day. After killing Fanny, Charlie went into the house. Marie was shot there. James, 4 years old, and Raymond, 2, tried to hide, but he found and shot them as well. The youngest child, 4-month-old Mary Lou, was killed by blunt force trauma rather than a gunshot. The violence unfolded quickly enough that no one on the farm was able to call for help before it was over. When neighbors and relatives later arrived, they noticed something else besides the number of dead. The bodies had been arranged, arms crossed, heads resting on makeshift pillows made of stones or folded support. It appeared deliberate, and it remains one of the more unsettling details preserved in early reports. Meanwhile, Charlie had left the house with his shotgun and walked into the nearby woods. Over the next several hours, people in the area heard a single gunshot from that direction. When law enforcement and neighbors followed the sound, they discovered Charlie's body near a tree. He had died from a self-inflicted shotgun wound. Footprints circling the tree suggested he had paced there for some time before shooting himself. By late afternoon, word of the killings had spread. Neighbors and relatives gathered at the farm, confronted with a scene that was both domestic and catastrophic. Christmas gifts in a house where almost everyone was dead. Local authorities secured the property and conducted an inquest. No evidence pointed to any other attacker. The deaths were officially ruled a murder-suicide. Over the years, people have tried to understand why it happened. Months before the killings, Charlie had suffered a head injury. Some relatives later suggested that it might have changed his behavior. An autopsy was carried out at Johns Hopkins Hospital, but doctors reported no clear abnormalities in his brain. Decades later, books about the case recorded family accounts that raised a different possibility. According to those later reports, some relatives believed there had been serious problems inside the household long before Christmas 1929. One friend of Marie later reported that Marie had disclosed a pregnancy involving her father. Other relatives acknowledged that there had been concerns in the household, but they did not provide additional details. None of these theories was tested in court, and no official record confirms a single motive. They remain later accounts, added long after the day itself. The Lawson family was buried in a shared grave not far from the farm. Arthur, the son sent away that morning, was the only immediate family member left. In the weeks and years that followed, the case drew intense attention in North Carolina and beyond. Charlie's brother later opened the farmhouse to paying visitors. People walked through the rooms where the Christmas tree had stood and where Marie's unfinished cake was said to have remained on display. Writers, ballads, and later museum exhibits continued to revisit the story. Over time, new books and interviews repeated and expanded the later theories about motive. None of them has been conclusively proven. The historical record can show who died, where they fell, and how the day unfolded. It cannot clearly answer why. True crime, real horror. Shadow lore, where every darkness hides a story. Subscribe if you dare.